Hello YouTube. I just want to have a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I'm not a medical doctor, but I will say this. I don't take medicine anymore. And, well, I try not to. I can't tell you the last time that I did. But I will say this. I started turning to more natural kind of things to help me out in my whatever I got going on. So one of the plants that I stumbled upon a few years ago is a plant that is scientifically known as Plectranthus Amboinicus. Plectranthus Amboinicus. It is spelt Plectranthus, Plectranthus. Amboinicus is Amboinicus. Plectranthus Amboinicus. Now, this is what Plectranthus Amboinicus looks like. Now, you might know Plectranthus Amboinicus as Mexican mint, because it spells very minty. If you're in Mexico, it's Mexican mint. If you're in Cuba, it's Cuban Oregano. If you're in Brazil, it's Brazilian Thyme. And if you're in India, it's Indian Borage. All of those names, they all mean the same thing because it's the same plant. So the universal scientific name that they use to refer to this plant is Plectranthus Amboinicus. And what does it do? Well, it is, first of all, it is a very minty smelling plant. It's something that grows in the summertime. If I were you, I would not leave this outside when it starts to get cold because it will die. But the thing about this plant is that it is very hardy. Hardy meaning it will come back. Like even if it does die in the wintertime. I've had Plectranthus Amboinicus left outside during the wintertime and it looked like it was completely dead. It looked like it was never ever going to come back. But then eventually, as the heat started to come back and as it started to rain a little bit, sure enough, the Plectranthus Amboinicus came back. It's also one of those kinds of plants that it likes water and it can use a lot of water, but I think if you give it way too much water, it's not going to be good. We had a hurricane pass through here a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Irma or something like that. And Hurricane Irma just completely flooded my backyard. And that wasn't good for Plectranthus Amboinicus. The leaves started to look like they were getting like really moldy and everything. But initially when it started raining a lot, it just really grew really wild and really crazy. Another thing that's important to note about these plants is that you can take a branch, just pick a branch off of this plant and then put it in some water and it will grow some roots. Alright, and which is very cool. You could take the branch, any one of these branches that you see here. You could pick it off and then you could just easily just plant, put it in some water and it'll start growing some roots. And then you can transplant it and plant it somewhere else if you wanted to. In fact, these little stalks of Plectranthus Amboinicus here, I took just a few little pieces from my neighbor that lived down the street. Just some small pieces. I didn't even put them in water. I just put them in the soil and then watered the soil every day, and then the roots just started to grow, and now I have some wild bushes of Plectranthus Amboinicus. And all that's going to happen is it's going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. Now you're probably asking, what the heck is Plectranthus Amboinicus for in the first place? Well, Plectranthus Amboinicus, Indian Borage, Mexican mint, Brazilian Thyme, Cuban Oregano, you can take these same leaves that I just showed you right here, and you can put them in the oven, right? Once you put them in the oven, what I do is I put it in the oven, in the pans, and then I leave the oven slightly open, and I let it bake in the oven. Give it a little bit of breathing room. As it starts to bake in the oven, it starts to turn brown, and it'll start to get really hard, and then it'll start to get really stale feeling. Every now and then you can go check on it, and then see as it starts to shrivel up and it starts to burn a little bit. Then after that point, you take it out of the oven. I'm not sure exactly how long you leave it in for, but I always check all the time, every time I'm doing it. You take it out of the oven and then you start to crumple it up into little pieces, right? And then that's when you have your little bits of oregano. And then you can sprinkle it onto your food, and then smells so good. And it gives you this minty taste as well. Another thing that I use it for is that this is actually has medicinal properties. Okay, this is I take these leaves, I boil it in water, and then I drink the water with the leaves in it after it's boiled, and the water kind of turns like this greenish color. But it is a tea that they say is supposed to help you with a number of things. I looked online, and they said that Plectranthus Amboinicus, it cures inflammation, one of the things that it does. This is an anti-tumorous plant, so it also helps with cancerous problems, they say. I'm not saying this as a medical doctor, okay? I'm just telling you guys. It's anti-microbial, anti-herpes. It treats coughs. They even say it helps with epilepsy. They say it helps with convulsions. This is an antioxidant. And it also helps with Parkinson's. All right? And then they say for external use, you can rub this leaf on the skin when you have a burn or when you have bites. That also helps in those cases. And then, yeah. And there's a number of things you can do. You can grind it. You could put it in the water that you bathe in. It's supposed to help soothe you and do all those kinds of things. But nevertheless, that's it. Plectranthus Amboinicus. I even read somewhere that it's an anti-HIV plant. Now that doesn't mean you just want to go around catching HIV and then you can take this and it's going to cure you. No, and I don't even know if what I read means it's going to cure it. It just, what it does is drinking this helps fight off some of the symptoms and some of the problems of HIV. Nevertheless, that is Plectranthus Amboinicus. If I were you, I wouldn't even believe what I'm saying. I would go look it up for yourself. Look at the beginning of the video. I told you how to spell it. But yeah, and I'll leave you off with this. Remember, the revolution will not be pesticides.